In this clip, I just want to talk about the Virgin Mary. I feel that a lot of people don't really take any consideration of her in regards to God. Now, the Virgin Mary is important for all of us. And I'm not going to go on a rant about worshipping Mary, because you're not actually supposed to pray to her. Now, to mention the Virgin Mary, in common conversation, people say, well, that's a Catholic thing, only Catholics do that, and the Virgin Mary doesn't matter to anyone else. And this is actually quite wrong. In fact, Islam and other sects of Christianity, and indeed even Buddhists, will hold some form of respect or reverence for her. So, I'll just go through these things and we'll take it from there. Did you know that in the Koran, Mary is mentioned 34 times, and not just all sorts of Marys, just one Mary, the Virgin Mary, and she is in fact the only woman named in the Koran. And on top of that, the 19th chapter of the Koran is actually named after her. It's called Maryam. So when people think that Islam has no veneration for the Virgin Mary, this is quite wrong. She is mentioned more times in the Koran, and even has a chapter named after her, as compared to the Bible, which barely mentions her all that much and has no chapter named after her, despite how important she is. Buddhists respect the Virgin Mary as a noble woman. That's because her son, Jesus Christ, is a noble man. And for a noble man to be, he must have noble parents. And this is not about royalty in the earthly physical way, but by virtue of their nature. Joseph and Mary are regarded as good parents by any standards. And there's even, I've heard, instances where Buddhists will visit shrines dedicated to the Virgin Mary. So it's not just a Catholic thing at all. Now, in regards to other Christian denominations, you've got the Orthodox, who respect and indeed honour the Virgin Mary. And you've got the Protestants, although unfortunately they have been told, the Virgin Mary isn't really all that important. I'll give you this quote from Martin Luther, the one who brought forth the Protestant Reformation. Now, you can say that the Virgin Mary is well respected by the overwhelming majority of people with religious convictions, whether it be Christian or non-Christian. But there are 4 groups of people who do not like the Virgin Mary, and let's go through them as well. So, we have atheists, like you find in Western countries predominantly. Now, I want to point out, you could say Buddhism is an atheist religion, but I would call them non-theists. And they should not be lumped in with some punk-ass Marxist who just screams, I hate God, I hate God. Atheists, they usually come up with this thing, they say Jesus didn't exist, but if he did exist, he'd be a queer. And as for the Virgin Mary, they say, well, the Virgin Mary didn't exist, and if she did exist, she'd be a whore or a slut. Well, let's continue on. But atheists just hate for the sake of hating. That's about it. Satanists. I was a theistic Satanist. We kind of had a weird relation to Mary. And we had a begrudging respect. She really wasn't someone you really wanted to come up against. But, looking at today's Satanists, who are, for the most part, actually atheists, we're starting to see a bit of a connection with the final group. But we also have what we call Christian Zionists, who have no regard or respect for Mary. They're into Killiism and Zionism. They actually view Mary as just some woman who gave birth to Jesus, and beyond that, who cares? That's their attitude. And it brings us now to the fourth group. And you can say where all the malevolence comes into it. Jews. The Jews hate the Virgin Mary. They really do. So when people say, we've got to support Israel, we've got to support the Jews, they're God's chosen people, blah, blah, blah. They actually, the Talmud, they say something quite offensive, really offensive. Anyway, let's continue. This is about the Virgin Mary and not about Jews. So, now if people will wonder, what's my relationship to the Virgin Mary? What should I do? Because I don't know where she comes into it. Well, first of all, the Virgin Mary, she should be respected and complimented. Look at it this way. If you're going for an important job interview, you need a reference. And this is where Mary comes into it. So, let's say, you'll go for a job and there's someone who you've been respectful to, been complimentary to, and help propagate their point of view in regards to the public, then you would expect that person to be a reference for you when it's needed. And this is what honouring the Virgin Mary is all about. And you do it because it is a good thing to do. The more people give honour and respect to the Virgin Mary, the stronger she becomes. It's like when someone comes up to you and makes a complimentary remark, let's say about your appearance or the sort of person you are. It gives you that little extra kick, to prevail through life. So the more people complimenting Mary, the more stronger she becomes. Now, you can do this through a lot of ways. Just public awareness. Don't be ashamed to say, yes, I respect the Virgin Mary. And I think, there will be a time when the Virgin Mary is no longer just associated with Catholics. And it'll be blatantly so. Because what you should be doing if you are a Christian and a non-Catholic is getting your clergy to talk about her virtues. So, be open about, say, yes, I have respect for the Virgin Mary. She shouldn't be forgotten. She shouldn't be being in a back page or somewhere unnoticed. And this will pay off for you. If you give your attention to the Virgin Mary, she in return gives hers to you. So it's a complementary thing, reciprocal. And as she lived on this earth as a human being, which she was all along, you can relate to her, she can relate to you. Should that mean you should respect Jesus less? No, not at all. But with the Virgin Mary, it is a complementary belief. And it all ties in together. So you really can't go wrong. And, people say the Virgin Mary, various places, various times. And the atheists say, they've just made it up because she doesn't exist. No, she does exist. And she does appear at places. But only where the people of those places have belief. So I'll just end it here now. But I just contemplate these things. Yeah.